Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I hope you're surviving the heat if you're in the UK, because Christ, it's hot. Anyway, first world problems. Let's talk about something really serious, and that is that we've had a lot of deaths in boxing in the last year. Well, so far in 2025, Dwight Muhammad Coe passed, the terrific light heavyweight and cruiserweight champ. Kenny Vice, who was a sort of fringe contender, he passed away. Best known to UK fans for chinning Jim McDonnell, knocking him spark out in a British ring. Nino Benvenuti was another one. Oh, God, how many do we have? Joey Archer, I think, passed away. It seems to be a parade of death and destruction. And outside the ring as well, like people like Don Elmbaum passed. Tommy Brooks, trainer, he passed. Look, obviously people are going to pass on, but they do seem to come in a big swathe of them. The old Grim Reapers going to town and probably making up for lost time. But here's something that really does stick in the mind, something that is really, I think, quite haunting, and that is that we've had two Japanese fighters pass away on the same card, or the mortal injuries that they suffered were on the same card. The card was on the 2nd of August. So what are we on now? This is the 10th of August when I'm doing this video, so it's less than a week ago. And those fighters are SHIGETOSHI Kotari, who fought Yamato Hata. He got a draw with him, a split draw, but collapsed afterwards and passed away. Didn't even lose the fight. It just shows you dangerous game, very dangerous game. And then we have Hiramasa Arakawa, who lost on a technical knockout in 8 rounds. It was an 8-round fight. He got stopped in the last to Yoji Saito. And they were both on the same card. They both suffered their injuries at the same time. Now, I cannot remember something like that happening ever before, 2 fighters on the same card. I know 2 fighters who have fought each other and one died and then the other one went on to be killed also, but not on the same card. It was very strange, very strange. And of course, this has to be looked into. The Oriental and Pacific Boxing Federation, they are now saying that title fights will be reduced from 12 rounds to 10. Okay. And that was announced by the Japanese Boxing Commission. Now, when they say title fights, are they talking about regional fights, domestic fights, domestic titles? Because, the World Boxing Organization, they've made a comment. They were actually the one I read anyway, was the statement I read was from the WBO about Urakawa dying. He was only 28, Urakawa as well. But I can't see them reducing their world title fights to 10 rounds. But I think it's probably going to be for Oriental and Pacific Boxing Federation fights. They're now going to be 10 rounds instead of 12. World title, I think they'll probably, the Asian areas will still sanction fights that are 12 rounds if they are, world titles and so on. But the regional titles, domestic titles, they will be reduced. Now, will that make a difference? Well, you can't say no, can you? Because, theoretically it could make a difference. But, of course, when Duk-Koo Kim died against Ray Mancini, which kind of opened the floodgates for the abolition of 15-rounders to 12-rounders, we have still had these awful events happen in our sport. People dying. People winning fights and dying. Scott Westgarth, for example. Didn't he win that fight? I think he did. And then he was interviewed afterwards. He seemed fine and he went home and died. The damage can be done early on in a fight. I think there are other factors to weigh in as well. How did you make the weight? Did you make the weight safely? or was your brain rattling around like a coin in a box because you've killed the weight too quick, drained off all the cerebral fluid that the brain sits in? That could be a reason. Yeah, I mean, I just think boxing is extremely dangerous anyway. Ultimately, it is. I never really even think of it as being a sport, because when I think of sports, I think of games. I mean, tennis players are great athletes, and if you play tennis, which I did when I was a teenager, I didn't play very well, but I played it a little bit. Yeah, you got to be fit and everything, fit as fuck, and they're very, very skillful. But ultimately, it's a game. You know what I mean? Athletics, running, stuff like that. Yeah, brilliant athletes, but coming second in a race, you're not going to drop down dead unless you've got a heart condition, I suppose. But boxing, it seems to me like, or any combat sport, I mean, boxing seems like a Western martial art to me. It always has done. And ultimately, if you have that situation where you're basically talking about trying to separate someone from their senses, or at the very least land hurtful punches that will put them off throwing punches at you, I mean, ultimately, we are talking about controlled violence. So will a reduction in rounds help? Possibly, to some degree. But ultimately, if you've got anything which is based on inflicting injury on the other person, to some degree, it might be a minor degree, a bloody nose, a cut lip maybe, or it may be, you're going to knock the guy's spark out and concuss him. And of course, you might do this, but you might be the one going to the hospital. I mean, Cowie, Dwight Mohammed Cowie passed recently. Excellent fight, really, really entertaining fighter. His first fight with Evander Holyfield is quite possibly the best cruiserweight fight of all time. And it was won over 15 rounds by a very sort of green Holyfield, who afterwards went to the hospital with dehydration. His kidneys were failing. So I get it. I get that you can never have too many safety measures. But ultimately, if something by its very definition is not safe, how are you going to police this whole issue? It's a very difficult conundrum. And of course, for those of us that are mature adults and sensible, human beings and have a sense of morality and, dare I say it, humanity, we don't want to see people killed. We don't want to see people seriously injured. I like it when boxers get out, they make their money, they win their titles, build their legacy and get out. And, these people are heroes to me. When you beat the game, when you complete boxing and beat the game, that's a hell of a thing. But ultimately, there are going to be casualties. I don't really think there is a big answer, like a comprehensive answer, an answer that really convinces. So let me know what you think. What is your opinion on this topic? Let me know. Leave your comments below. I'll be eager to read them. And thank you very much for watching this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. Please hit the like button. You are helping us a great deal, and it is always appreciated. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the heat. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.